if you are going to release something that can even be perceived as controversial, my suggestion will always be double check it before you release it.
You may overthink something and then you're like, oh, that might not actually work right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's okay to let's not post this right now. Let's wait, or let's adjust the plan according to what's going on in the world. And you might have to be okay with losing money on that, because ultimately you have to decide it does come down to is all press good press?
Yeah.
Is all talk good talk?
Hello and welcome back to the Marketing Blender Show. I'm Samaria Boyd.
Hi, my name is Kylie Scarborough.
And today we are going to be talking a little bit about companies leveraging social media in times of crisis or in times of boosted public interest. And this year has been a very fun year, to be honest, with all of this stuff that has gone on that we will be discussing today.
I think that social media is a great tool for customers and consumers to use when it comes to voicing their concerns or their frustrations with a brand or a company. But I do feel for the social media managers that have to go through all of the comments and see all the comments and things when it's not really the social media manager's fault, because they're just executing the plan. They're not ultimately responsible for it. So I do feel for the social media managers.
Thank you for your condolences. I do feel like with social being really the front facing aspect of marketing for a lot of companies, I do think that this is the best place to show up and respond, especially when there are things that you need to address with the public. I do think that a lot of companies sometimes feel like their silence isn't going to be taken anyway. I feel like in most cases, silence is taken a certain way by the audience and by your consumers. Yeah, I definitely agree that it's a great place for customers and consumers to, really talk about what it is that could be wrong with the product. They feel like you're doing wrong, or they feel like you're not necessarily representing or serving them in the way that they would like you to. Because at the end of the day, your products, while they're yours, they're not necessarily yours. Yeah, so I guess the first thing we can jump into is Astronomer and and Coldplay.
Everyone remember that? First off, my favorite thing was just seeing all the memes come out of it. It's not related to this topic, but just all the different memes was great. But I think their biggest thing was when they used Gwyneth Paltrow, whose ex-husband is the lead singer of Coldplay, in their video addressing the situation. I think it's just I want to know who pitched that. Hey, why don't we grab Gwyneth Paltrow to do this? I think that was genius on their end.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was really funny, honestly. And I think it's the fact that they kind of kept the whole, the relationship aspect of it. So, ex-wife, scandalous situation that was discovered at the concert. And I think, too, Coldplay's response to it was funny itself, too, because they were just like, hey, guys, just so y'all know, we are recording. So if you are here with somebody who you're not supposed to be here with, just be aware, you might be caught. But I did think it was funny. And I do like the fact that that Astronomer they put some humor behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think to some people it fell flat, because I remember reading on LinkedIn, a lot of people were saying this wasn't a good idea, or they should have done this. And it's well, honestly, how else do you handle that situation? At that point, I think there were 3 different AI statements from what was he, the CEO?
Yeah, the CEO.
Yeah, 3 different AI statements. People were coming up with their own narratives about how Astronomer had responded. And I think they did what they could with what they had. And I think that it was honestly a very quick turnaround for them. But I think they did good with the humorous aspect of everything. So
I also think when you consider the area their products lie in, because they don't have, they have a LinkedIn and stuff, but I didn't really see much on any other social platform. So you do kind of have to judge your audience and what you're posting, where you're posting it. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that video would have done a lot better if it had been posted on TikTok. Now, obviously, it was on TikTok. I saw it on TikTok, but not by the actual company itself. It was just posted by someone random. So I do wonder how it would have been different if it had been posted across the social platforms. Now, I don't think they have all of the platforms, so you wouldn't just make an account just for that. But
Well, they could. Michael Jackson, when he died in 2009. But when it comes to making accounts for these kinds of things, I think sometimes it might be beneficial because, like,
True.
in that case, Twitter was almost broken. Um, and they were like, okay, we have to make an account. So if you look at their creation date for Michael Jackson's Twitter account, it's literally the same month he died. But yeah, I do think there is a possibility there that they could have made a different account to post it on if they wanted to be the people who were really engaged with it would have probably been on the other platforms.
Yeah.
Maybe. And I apologize. Hopefully I didn't interrupt your thought. My bad.
No, I was just going to say, I think, because like on LinkedIn, you have all of the professionals that hopefully aren't in the same situation. But like, you know, they work in HR or they're executives and stuff. And so seeing how Astronomer played that out was just very interesting to see it from a LinkedIn perspective, because it's not exactly, most of the time some companies don't address controversy on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
On the controversy itself.
I wonder too, like how much traffic their LinkedIn got, like, because I know I wouldn't look them up as soon as I saw it.
Definitely.
Like, and I was trying to see the different people at the company. I know that might sound crazy. I'm nosy. So I was trying to see like the different people and find their accounts. I wasn't going to do anything with it, but I was like, oh, okay. So this is the guy. This is the lady.
Yeah.
Or like this is the person that they said went with them on to this concert that knew everything. So like she had just gotten a promotion and she also got, what was it? She got a promotion. She got the concert tickets also. She could be quiet, but then everything was just put on blast. So she was like there cackling. I don't even remember if that was true or not, but I just remember seeing it and being like, honestly, hey, more power to you. If you got a free concert and you got a promotion out of it, hopefully you don't lose your job. But
well, they did limit their comments on LinkedIn. And the CEO did as well, because I know people were going to his LinkedIn page as well.
Yeah.
And people were finding the wife's Facebook page, but I think that's a bit too much, because she had to delete her Facebook page, or at least make it private.
Oh, wow. See, I don't think I heard all that. I think immediately leaving work, because I'm pretty sure we all heard it while we were here. I remember like a couple of hours later, somebody posting that AI statement, and I was like, he made a statement already? Like, that probably wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
And there was something else from Astronomer, but that was spoofed and it was fake. But yeah, I think they probably chose LinkedIn maybe just based off the amount of traffic they were getting. And especially if they didn't have any other social media platforms that they were on. Like, people were definitely going to go to LinkedIn. Alrighty. Well, enough about Coldplay and Gwyneth Paltrow and Astronomer. Let's move into the Duolingo AI first situation. That was interesting.
I don't remember. Do you remember who posted their statement about going AI first? Which there had already been laying off team members, and their head of social changed jobs, and so they posted this head of social media job posting, and the pay was just astronomical.
I think those happened at two separate times, but I mean the social media pay situation is also another good one that we could talk about. But you know, I think when they posted the AI thing, I don't remember who shared it.
Because it wasn't shared on their actual pages.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened. I know a lot of I was gonna say, I know a lot of TikTok creators were talking about it at one point. And again, like you said, they were seeing massive like laying people off and letting people go who were, I guess, teaching and doing the other parts of the background work of people learning languages. And I don't remember completely who released it, but I do know that like social blew up because they were like, why would I want to learn a language from an AI model who isn't human? Like, you need people who are speaking the language, speaking the slang. And I'm not a Duolingo user. I know that our incredible Monica is a Duolingo user, so maybe she has something she'd like to chime in on. I don't know.
I was until the recent update.
But I do remember like the death of Duo, and then they tried to like do the rebrand with all the other characters, and like honestly, like it was good. It was a cool little campaign, I think, for a lot of social media managers. Like to be honest with you, like in the social world, I know like the Duolingo social media manager, the head of social, she's kind of like, I don't want to say like a god, but like she's really cool. Like everybody kind of is like, every time you think of like social media conversations, Duolingo always comes up. Like even when CEOs are like, oh, well, who do you want to be like? Oh, I want to be like Duolingo. And it's like, okay, but you're not. This isn't a funny company. You can't do that. But like, I do think that like it did, in that moment, it did kind of damage their brand, because I don't think that they put out a statement about any of it faster than people clocked it. Like, faster than people were like, this is actually ran by AI now. These are not humans. These people have been laid off. Like, I just remember all that information coming at once. And then all of a sudden it was like the death of Duo. And then they introduced more characters. And now they're talking about K-pop on their India page, or I think it was India. I'm sorry, I might be wrong. But like, they have like a separate social media account where the little purple girl was like dancing to like a K-pop song. And like, there were so many different things that were happening. It was just like, okay, I know that you're trying to distract me. I'm kidding. But I know that like, in that moment, I think they were really trying to like just keep pushing forward and like, and in a sense, I don't want to say cover it up, but like, they were just like, well, it's happening. And there was no like, hey guys, so this is why AI is beneficial, at least not from what I saw. I don't know if anybody else saw anything.
I didn't see anything. I think Duolingo built their whole social media platforms around, like, they were in people's comments, just randomly commenting things, which I think makes a company really personable in a lot of ways. So if you built your entire platform around like, yeah, we're an app, but like, we can still do fun social media things, and we can have a giant mascot, someone wearing a giant mascot costume, just doing random stuff. You build this entire platform around personalizing and being personable as an app, which I think is really cool and something that hadn't really been done before. I would say that Duolingo was one of the like groundbreaking,
like pioneers
of especially TikTok. I mean, across different platforms, but I remember seeing Duolingo back in the early days of TikTok, and they really started to build a brand. And I don't really use Duolingo anymore, but I follow them just because their content was so like fun and interesting for an app. Like, that's not something that is normally done. So when you build this entire brand around that, and then a statement gets released being like, oh, we're AI first, that's literally going against everything that you've built as a company and a brand, which I think is ultimately what really hurt them beyond the AI usage.
Yeah. And I think too, like, they have and maybe this is not necessarily like directly linked, but like their care about social media really showed, like, it was shining through when they released their positions after their social media team kind of disbanded and, you know, went on their separate ways and things like that. But like, the amount, the yearly salary of their social media team is actually, to me, it shows that they do care about that human aspect. But like, I do think that like, they probably should have truly addressed the AI situation, and done maybe a little bit better. I don't know. I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember seeing anything about it, but if there was anything about it, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really interesting because they just like privated every video. Like, they can start a new account. You just like went to their page and all of their content was gone. And so you're like, are you ignoring the problem, or are you actually going to address it? And then they came out with the Duo is dead.
Yeah. I remember seeing that all over, and I was like, what? Duo is dead. And there were some people who were like celebrating. I think at the time, No One Mourns the Wicked was popular as well. If not, then I do know that people also addressed it when Wicked came out with that song as well, because I think in general the sentiment of AI takeovers is like not good. Not good. All right, American Eagle. I actually really love this conversation. I'm excited for this conversation because like, I really loved everything that came after it, and like that has continued to come after it, because it's kind of I think this is a good moment where like, you have to pay, as a marketer, you have to pay attention to what's going on in the world before you release stuff. And I know that people are like, oh, well, not everything can be politically correct, and that's fine. I mean, you're right. But like, if you are going to release something that can even be perceived as controversial, my suggestion will always be double check it before you release it. They probably had spent a lot of money on those ads, and they were like, you know what, we're going to release this stuff anyways. Like, we're not going to let this campaign go to waste. But I think they could have they probably could have looked at it and said, okay, maybe we should change some of the wording. But
Yeah.
anyways.
Do you think it's the place of a social media manager to be more, because obviously as a social media manager and specialist, you're on social media a lot just by the nature of the job. So you are kind of more in line with the culture of the world and what's the vibe and what isn't the vibe. So do you think it's one of the roles as a social media manager to be like, hey, we need to adjust this, or we need to pause, or we need to take a break because it's not going to work the way that you want it to?
100%. I'm going to be honest. Like, I think that a lot of people discount social media managers and coordinators and teams really as just like, oh, well, they just post on social. They're the fun, goofy people. But like, we actually have a pulse on the culture. Like, we're actually paying attention to what's hot, what's not. But like, we're paying attention to the things that like I think a lot of other parts of marketing teams may not be paying attention to. And it's not necessarily that like, when you create a marketing campaign, you can't be tongue in cheek. Like, you can, like, but there are certain things that are tongue in cheek that might be a little bit too far. And I think at this time when this was released, there was a huge talk about like genocide, ethnic cleansing. You know, America was doing all the DEI layoffs and things like, or not layoffs, but like they were withdrawing like the DEI policies and things like that. And I think like there's a time and a place for everything. And I just don't think that in that time when all these conversations are happening across social, across all forms of media, you popping out and saying, Sydney Sweeney has good genes. Like, and like, I think most people understood what you were trying to do and what you were saying, but like in the moment and with the other parts of that ad, like, it just wasn't a good idea. Like, there are other things that I think could have been done, or like they could have revisited, but you know. And then Cat's Eye dropped, the Gap commercial.
Which I think was so, because, you know, Cat's Eye is considered a global girl group because they have people from across the world in their group. And so I think the juxtaposition between the two was really interesting to see. Plus, that song was really fun and they're good dancers. So it was just a fun ad in general. But like, just the difference in the energy of the vibe in everything was so fun to see. And that I still go back and watch that ad sometimes. Just it's so fun.
I actually just watched it this weekend because I was like, I haven't ever seen the full thing. But I finally watched the full thing and I was like, oh my God, this is actually really good. Like, this is incredible. For American Eagle to turn around and like double down, it was like, okay, guys, let's I think the thing is like, I'm glad that they stood behind their ad, right? I'm glad that they stood on their 10. But I do think that like, with respect to what was going on in the world at the time, to turn around and be like, oh, her genes are good. Like, okay, guys, we just had this conversation. There are literal dissertations and tons of TikTok videos about this situation. People are talking about it on LinkedIn. Like, I think, and I mean, and that's not to say that LinkedIn can't get controversial. I've seen a lot of different things on LinkedIn, but like, typically, if it's political, it's not necessarily shadow banned, but it's not something that like they like to push to the forefront. But like, with all these conversations going on, your first thought was to double down on what, and hey, I'm just gonna say Cat's Eye ate y'all up, Gap ate y'all up, respectfully. And I don't even think that was, I think it was really just like decent timing. Like, I don't think that like it was their plan to just like drop that. But I don't know. I'm not at Gap and I'm not in the minds of their.
It would have been a really quick turnaround if they had.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have been in like the planning stages or something and just been like, let's move a little faster and get this done.
But I do think that like in a time like this, like where so much is up in the air and there are heightened emotions around diversity and all the things that are going on in the world, like you do have to be careful. And I do think that like this is one of those times where PR teams probably should have been involved a little more. And I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. Again, let us know in the comments if you disagree. Respectfully, though. Don't be me.
I think the next thing we could talk about is Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel is probably one of my favorite. Okay, so like I thought that was hilarious because I didn't even know it was happening. I just remember getting online and everybody was like, why is Cracker Barrel smooth like this? And like talking about like, and I was like, what are they talking about? Like, what rebrand? I'm driving past Cracker Barrel and I'm looking at it like, well, I don't see anything new. Like, I mean, obviously, of course, the marketing and the branding would not have rolled out to all the stores, but like, I would assume that they would have started with like some of their printed stuff. And I'm typically, if I go into Cracker Barrel, like I'm buying like cast iron and like other things for my grandma or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it was definitely not the best choice.
Which what I can appreciate about Cracker Barrel is after, like, they made a statement after they released the new logo and people got upset on social media because they liked the old one better. They didn't think that it fit the vibe and the culture around Cracker Barrel, which I would probably agree with. But I do appreciate Cracker Barrel came out and was like, yeah, we missed the mark on this and we're going to be bringing back the old logo, which that is also you're not standing on what you put out, which 50-50 about whether or not sometimes that's the better option. But if it hurts their customers in the sense that, or if it hurts their stores in the sense that customers aren't going to come because of a rebrand, then it was definitely the right thing to do.
Well, it's just like, why do we want to make everything so smooth? Like, why does everything have to be minimalist? Like, we're, in general, like, I think I read maybe a year ago, the world was just losing its flair. Yes. It's losing its color because everybody wants to be minimalist, modern, sleek, like you said. Clean. Yeah, and it's like, I get it because you want to adapt to the new age, but I think that, like, I don't know, Cracker Barrel just isn't Cracker Barrel without, like, the logo and everything that it looks like. I like going into Cracker Barrel and seeing, like, the old pictures and, like, the more, like, Southern look and, because, I mean, I just feel like being from the South, there's not a lot of places that, like, you can go to that feel like you're sitting in, like, an old person's house. I don't know. Like, I think it's kind of funny because, like, there's always a debate about whether or not, like, the little game at Cracker Barrel, like, the little pegboard. If that's actually an important part. But I'm like, no, like, that needs to be there too. And if I see that it's gone, if I go into Cracker Barrel after this rebrand and it's gone, I'm gonna be upset. Like, what did you do to it? Why is it smooth? And I mean, I'm not to say that they did that, but I'm just saying, like, Cracker Barrel is not necessarily like a fine dining experience. I mean, good food, but it's not like one of those places where I feel like Red Lobster could have probably done the rebrand and it would have been like, okay, we get it. You guys are trying to move into like a more upscale, like, and I mean, they're already there, but like, they want to look better, right? So they'll do a rebrand where they smooth everything out, and the lobster, instead of being like a lobster, it's like a smooth little lobster or something. But like Cracker Barrel, I just feel like the flair is in the aesthetic. The flair is there, like it's supposed to be there. So
I don't think you go to Cracker Barrel for the aesthetics. You go for,
I just go for the biscuits.
I mean, the biscuits, but also like the childhood memories that it brings and like that sense of nostalgia, because like Cracker Barrel hasn't changed at all that I can remember over the course of my lifetime. And so seeing, like, you go to Cracker Barrel, you know what you're expecting, and it's like you walk in even to the store part and there's just like a huge sense of nostalgia for me, at least.
Yeah,
we didn't go there a lot growing up, but I think that's like a big part of why people were upset, because it takes away, especially in today's age when a lot of companies are moving past that nostalgia sense and just like trying to modernize and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think Cracker Barrel being so open about it was really something that hurt the consumers and the customers.
Yeah. And I think too, like, if you take a look, and this is a bit of a controversial take, but like if you look at like all of the rebranding that happened like during the pandemic, that was a big thing. Like a lot of people agreed and disagreed with rebrands and things like that. So like I think, to be honest with you, when it comes to things like you said that are nostalgic, like people are like tired of seeing those things go away. Yeah. Which, to be fair, respect it to a certain degree. And then there's some things that I agree with that should be rebranded.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think their willingness to like revert back though, like so quickly, was like, oh, whoa, okay. How much did you spend on that redesign?
Which, talking about Gap, because they spent boatloads of money redesigning their logo a couple of years ago. I don't remember how long ago that was. And people got so upset about it, they brought it back.
Man, we can even talk about SFA with that one, because like SFA also did the same thing. They were trying to like redo the logo, and everybody, the students, alumni, were like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like a subset of alumni who agreed with it, but I was like, we don't need a new logo. Like, things look fine the way they are.
I do wish they brought back the red or something, because I actually liked the red.
I think in the vintage collections that they do for like the merch and stuff or whatever, I think they do have the red in it. Shout out to that though. Shout out to SFA, Axum Jacks. I think the next thing was Southwest Airlines and their new policies.
Because, so the funny thing about, not funny, the thing about this is for a while, the social media managers kind of played into people's frustrations, and they were like, you can still do this and you can still do that. And you can join our membership or whatever and get, free baggage, and you don't have to pay to pick your seat. And then after a couple of months, which I think they're still getting comments about this, but like Southwest did literally build their brand around 2 bags checked free and no pay to pick your seat. That's like not first come, first serve, because you do have to check in, but like you line up and you get on board, and that's the order that you pick your seat. And Southwest literally built their brand around that. So to rip that away from the general consumer without having the Southwest credit card.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't you have to have like some kind of membership or
Southwest credit card, I think. And so like ripping that away from their customers is like destroying everything that they built their brand around.
Yeah.
And so for a while, the social media managers, they didn't play into that, but they just kind of left the comments alone, or they were like, oh, if you have the Southwest credit card, you can still do this. And then eventually their answers got a lot shorter and very straight to the point. No fluff, no trying to be, I don't want to say polite, but like very straight to the point.
So like when I think about this situation and how their social media managers have interacted with the public, I think about like those like fast food, like Chipotle or like Wendy's, and like I can only imagine like their social media managers probably would have been commenting like, we just work here, like take it up with the people who made the decision. Because I'm not gonna lie, after a certain amount of time, I do think that like, especially, and this is the thing, humor is okay, and being a bit like snarky can be funny, especially on places like Twitter, which is where I assume a lot of the communication was going down. Or X, sorry, I just realized I call it Twitter. Anyways, so I do think in that case, if I were one of them, I would have literally commented or responded and just been like, hey guys, like I just work here. Please use the contact form on the website to complain, because there's nothing I can do for you.
Because it does get to a point where like,
yep,
a lot of people
expect
social media managers to respond on social media, but like they can't just release a statement without going through all of the channels,
because then you'd be fired.
And they're not gonna, if the higher ups have decided this and the social media manager comes to them and it's like, hey, we need to release something, it's not always gonna play in the social media manager's favor.
Yeah, that's very true. And like, I think the other thing is too, and just the message to the general public, the people behind social media accounts are human too. They have feelings.
Yeah.
You don't have to be mean. You can ask your question, and if they don't have an answer to it, it may take them a few hours to get back to you, but they will probably get back to you. And if they don't get back to you, well, just use the contact form on the website and somebody will respond to you. We are, most of the time, most social, which I think a lot of jobs that I've seen recently on like LinkedIn, and they are hiring for like customer service reps to be on social. And I think even some of the ways that we've structured how our clients interact with their consumers on social is like, hey, we need somebody who can answer these questions and fast. Like, and it doesn't have to be like within minutes, but like it would be good. Facebook and Meta still, they track your response time, but we are seeing that companies are moving to hire people who are in customer service to be on social as well as the regular social media managers.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing for social teams everywhere, to be honest with you, because like the amount of questions that like some of our clients get, and I'm just like, I have to go find the answer. Like I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't have anyone on their team responding. I can only imagine these much larger companies and these social media managers who are managing for much larger companies, how stressful it gets because they get so many questions. Like at least I only have to deal with like maybe 5 to 10 questions a day. But like I'm sure they're dealing with thousands on thousands on thousands on thousands, and they're not happy people. Or like when people have horrible experiences with the company, and then they immediately take it to social.
Yeah.
And the social media managers are having to say, hey, DM me or check your DMs.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe they already have a plan in place. Sometimes they probably don't. But either way, or I guess maybe most times if they're doing that, they have a plan. But social media teams are social media people. And eventually you will get the social media response. So just be kind of cognizant of how you're interacting with people online. Just be nice. I think that's really the main point for me, is like, be kind. These people, we're all humans. There are no robots running social media accounts yet. The people who are running those social accounts can't solve your problem. Yeah. They can take it to the people who can, but they are not the problem solvers for you.
And I still think it's okay to like voice frustrations on social media.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, I can only imagine the private messages that some of these companies got.
Dude, celebrities too. Like, I mean, well, that's a side note. Sorry, but like, people are not nice on social.
No, not at all.
One of these airlines had a very viral experience. This lady, I can't remember what happened with her, but I just remember like everybody was I think it was Frontier actually. I think everybody was in their comments like, hey, you need to figure this out. You need to figure this situation out. And like, with how fast social media moves too, like that video was posted on TikTok, moved to X, formerly known as Twitter, and then everyone immediately took to like flooding their comments like, you need to get this figured out ASAP. And like, granted, I think that's like a social media manager's worst nightmare, is like for something to be happening and you have no clue what's going on, and all of a sudden you're just getting ping, 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 pinged.
Yeah.
And then there's really no time to solve the issue because you have to make a move.
Yeah.
And I mean, at that point, I think that's when PR teams probably step in and do a little bit of like, hey, this is what we should probably post and this is how we should respond. And usually, I mean, obviously, like it'll take like a day before they actually release a statement of some sort.
Which is the other thing, is people expect, like, if you flood the comments, people expect a response so quickly. But that's not something that can happen. Like, they have to take it through the proper channels. It has to get approved by who knows how many people. So, like, be a little patient if you are expecting a response, because it's not going to be the instantaneous response that you want, even if it is, like, pretty serious.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I can only imagine how many times whatever is about to be released on. And I think this is also another good point, is like, I just thought about it, like, if there is any way, shape, or form for social media managers to get a hold of a press release before social media managers to get a hold of a press release, my advice to all social media managers is to make sure that you use that. I know that I've seen some cases where even at smaller companies, social teams will make and have made responses, or like they've put out statements and like they do not align. Not the greatest idea, I will say. Just be careful and be cognizant of that. And sometimes, like I said, it's okay for the PR teams to take over because, well, they know better in crisis communications. And
so the guy that wrote the song, I don't remember which airline, about breaking his guitar. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, it came out a while ago. The singer was flying. They're flying, and this guy was like watching the baggage being loaded onto the aircraft, and they like saw him, like the guitar case dropped.
Gosh.
They fly, they land. The guy takes the guitar case but doesn't check it immediately, even after he saw it being dropped. Gets to wherever he's going, and the guitar is broken. United. Okay, it was United. It became a whole song. United broke my guitar. It's a funny song. You should listen to it. But it became like this whole thing because United said we can't replace it because it was outside of the window of like where you could report things like that. And so he wrote this song, filmed a whole music video, and released it. And so suddenly everyone, and this, I don't remember what year this happened, but this was before TikTok was even a thing, which I think TikTok is a really big platform to like get these things going. And so I can only imagine what would have 2009 is what I was thinking. So what happened in 2009, I can only imagine, like really only Facebook was around, and maybe
Twitter was there, but
not in the way it is used now. But like I can only imagine what would have happened on social media if that had happened today.
There would have been TikTok dances.
Yep.
a lot of challenges.
Memes.
Yeah, tons of memes.
Yeah, Fortnite.
Drewski would have definitely been in there making some videos. LOL. So overall, what are you thinking should be the real takeaway for social media teams everywhere, even I guess companies they may not have a social media team or PR.
Read the room when it comes to like whether a rebrand is actually going to be beneficial. Read the room when it comes to the state of the world and what's happening, what's being talked about online. And like, I would say sometimes it is appropriate to overthink about what you're posting on social media, because then you may overthink something and then you're like, oh, that might not actually work right now. And I think it's okay to let's not post this right now. Let's wait, or let's adjust the plan according to what's going on in the world. And you might have to be okay with losing money on that, because ultimately you have to decide it does come down to like, is all press good press?
Yeah.
Is all talk good talk? Because like American Eagle got all of this talk, but was it actually beneficial? Yes or no? So you have to read the room when it comes to the world, and you have to read the room when it comes to what you're posting and how that might be perceived. And so I think it's okay to overthink and just be mindful of what your customers actually want when it comes to rebranding and all of this stuff, and what you built your customer base on, and what your policy's changing and how that changes what your customers might think. So I think that's some of the really important things to take away from this.
Yeah, I agree. You hit the nail on the head. I think the biggest thing is like read the room, like you said, is, and I think trust your social media managers a little more. Give them a little bit more respect, to be honest, because, they are in the mix. Like they're constantly on social, constantly scrolling, constantly looking at the hot topics and what's going on, what are the trends, and they can give you some insight. Like I know that that's not necessarily a part of everybody's team meetings, but I do think that like if you have a social team and they're telling you like, I don't know, maybe you should listen, or you should ask them. Like, don't be afraid to ask your social team, like, hey, what are you guys thinking about, the messaging, and what are your thoughts on how we release this or when we release this? And like you said, like, it's ultimately a choice of whether or not you want to, lose out on money in one area, or do you want to take a revenue hit, right? Like, I think that's like a big thing is like, you can lose out on releasing this incredible campaign that you had, at the time that you were supposed to, and save it until, I don't know, towards the end of the year when things are kind of blowing over, or like things aren't as heated.
Yeah.
Or you could release it right then and there, and then you lose money as a company, right? So like, read the room. I think that's a good point. And also I think to the general public, be nice. Like that's really the big thing is like, I mean, like you said, voice your frustrations, let people know what's going on, talk to the teams and leave comments. But also like in cases where the social media managers of that company have told you time and time again, like, hey, this is what's going on, this is how you can get this, well then try and see if you can contact customer service and voice your frustrations. Because I mean, 9 times out of 10, that's where it's going to go anyways. So, being snarky and being mean to social media managers is not ever the greatest idea, because a lot of us social media managers are self-proclaimed comedians. And we will take that moment if we can. So, yeah. Well, all right. Thank you guys for joining us here on the Marketing Blender Show. Kind of like we talked about in the episode, if you guys have any feedback or any comments that you want to make, any stories that you want to tell about some funny social situations or PR crisis moments where you've seen it go well or you've seen it go bad, or just want some advice, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and leave some comments down below, like we said. And just make sure you're sharing this episode with anybody you think would benefit from it. We will see you next week.
Onward and upward.
Gosh, wait, I might have to go throw something in my stomach real quick because she's growling. She's on the camera. Put her on the mic. She has something to say. Reasons why you shouldn't go on podcast hungry. that was so well timed. Okay.
Are you recording this though? Because I think we need to fix that.
That was funny. Number one. Oh. Sorry, stretching.
Wants to be included.
I know. It's like, girl, I'm not talking to you today. I'm talking to them. Be quiet. Stop talking. Onward and upward.